Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fast Break. Of course, you know me, I'm Luca. Next to me, I got my man Vinny. We are on episode 11, um, and we're excited to get started here. Today, we're pretty much just going to be talking about point guards in the NBA. Obviously, if you have a good team, you probably have a franchise point guard. They are kind of, the anchor to every great team's success. So we're just going to go down our list. Me and Vinny, are we doing top 5 or top 10?
Let's do top 5, but we can include some honorable mentions if we want.
All right, sure. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you take it away. You got your top 5 and your honorable mention. Go ahead,
Yeah.
just go down your list.
So this is including like traditional point guards, guys that bring in the ball.
Mm-hmm.
My two main honorable mentions, I guess, would be number 7 on my list. Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray is obviously got hurt this year. Greatly impacted the Nuggets playoff run. They got swept by the Suns, which was unfortunate to see. But Jamal Murray, when he's out there, he's an all-star level point guard. He can put the ball in the bucket. He pairs along with Jokic well in Denver. They got themselves a dynamic duo for years to come. Number 6, he had a lot of talk this season. It's kind of surprising. He's not even in my top 5. Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a great playmaker, good mid-range shooter. I mean, if we've talked about this, probably said this maybe a long time ago. If they ran pick and roll with Chris Paul every play, he might have 80 points in the game. He's that good when Monty utilizes him right. In the finals, he was kind of uncharacteristically not Chris Paul. He turned the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
Drew turned him over. So I might have penalized him a bit there. He's number 6 for me. Going into number 5, I have Trae Young. Ice Trae. Atlanta, we talked about them last episode. We talked about how they're building around Trae Young. That in itself shows how good he is. He's a top 5 point guard. He does everything. He scores the ball. Yes, he's a little inefficient at times. Takes some bad shots, but he's a really good playmaker. Pick and roll guy with Clint Capella. It's just really unstoppable. Number 4, I have Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, we're going to consider him a point guard for this list. Kyrie, just an absolute wizard with the rock. His handle's amazing. We know that. Extremely efficient, 50, 40, 90. This year was one of his better years when he was on the court. Sure, he wasn't playing a lot. He had some things off the court he had to deal with. But when he's on the court, he's the 4th best point guard in the league for me. Number 3, this could be a little controversial. I'm going to say Luka Doncic has number 3. I know most people have him at number 2, but not me. Luka Doncic, he does everything. Defensively, he doesn't really do much, but offensively, everything you want. Great playmaker, good shooter, willing passer, gets to the rim. Free throws are honestly his weakness, which says a lot. He does everything well. Number 2, Damian Lillard. He's been doing it for years at a Weber State. Portland has had so much to be thankful for just solely off Damian Lillard. He carries them year in and year out. CJ's been the number 2 for a while, but if they didn't have Dame, they're nothing. And then number 1, the 2nd best point guard of all time, Steph Curry. Steph Curry, the best shooter we've ever seen. If you disagree, then you're an old head or you're just not educated at basketball. Amazing handle, insane playmaker, very underrated in that aspect. Him and Clay, when they come back next year, I'm going to say they could be a top 3 seed in the West.
I mean, so me and you basically had the same list. Going down to the honorable mentions, kind of crazy. Yeah, I had Chris Paul number 6. Honestly, it's weird. Like you said, it is weird to have him as an honorable mention, not top 5 after the success he enjoyed this year. But the talent at point guard, like I said, very, very vast. There's a lot of great guards in this league. But we had one pretty significant difference. Me and you had Luka and Dame switch. And I'm just going to tell you why I think that you are wrong. Because Luka, let me just tell you something. Luka, I think, and this might sound crazy, is the closest player to having GOAT potential besides LeBron, obviously. I believe that he is the player who has the most GOAT potential, the best young player who has GOAT potential in the league. This man literally does it all. And I just want to make something clear. I don't think Damian Lillard is a bad point guard, but I want to differentiate between the two of them because they do 2 very different things. Obviously, they're both very high-level scorers, but Damian Lillard, I feel like, is a lot more dependent on his surroundings. He doesn't have a great team. Don't get me wrong. When people say, oh, Damian Lillard has CJ, Damian Lillard has Nuggets, that's not elite help. And we've already gone over CJ, not really, the best, kind of overrated in my opinion. But he uses a lot of screens. So he's really dependent on, on his big men and stuff like that. Works off screens a ton. Not saying that's a bad thing. We see guys like Trae Young dominate off screens night in and night out. But I feel like that dependence on another teammate you can't relate that to what Luka does. Luka really has teammates struggling night in, night out. Obviously, he has a solid supporting cast, but no really elite players around him. Kristaps Porzingis really took a huge regression this year. And honestly, Luka was the only thing, in my opinion, keeping him above average, above I don't even know. He was kind of the only thing making Kristaps Porzingis a serviceable player this year. Porzingis really worked almost purely off Luka's playmaking. I think that, really when I look at Luka, he's just able to create his shot better. He's able to get shots better. He's able to score at will more easily than Dame. It seems like, obviously Damian Lillard has range. I'm not saying he's a bad scorer, but Luka Doncic, I feel like as a shot hunter, as a shot taker, do be hitting some insane step backs, some insane side steps. You can't look at Luka and tell me that he's just not a better pure scorer. He's not a better creator for himself. And so, in my opinion, yeah, Luka Doncic. I don't want to say it's not close, but I think Luka has a decent lead on Damian Lillard personally.
There's everything you said. I really don't have a rebuttal for. The two things that I think Dame has over Luka: one, the mentality. I think Dame has the mentality. He's built it up over the years. Luka may have that as soon as he gets more experience, but I think in clutch situations we've seen Dame. Yes, maybe it's a bit exaggerated. We looked at his playoff numbers. Before this year, he was kind of struggling in the playoffs. But I think Dame Lillard in the playoffs and clutch situations, I'd rather have him than Luka. But yeah, Luka's definitely more skilled for sure.
Mm-hmm. And there was another guy. I mean, I don't think that he's really high enough on many people's lists to make like even the honorable mention. But Ja Morant, is Ja Morant even a top 10 point guard? I say no. I want to hear your thoughts.
I actually have my 10 written down here. He was not on the list, but if it was top 11, I think he might get on the list.
Really?
Ja Morant, Ja Morant. If you checked out the Udoka takes video, link in the description, link in bio. We talked about Ja Morant for a bit, and me and you both, or you said this, but I agree. He's extremely good at what he does. We know that. He can finish around the rim. He gets to the rim, and he scores at the rim. The efficiency at the rim, even though it's not a bad percent compared to the rest of the league, when you're shooting at the rim, you want a higher percent than what Ja's shooting. I've never seen Ja Morant take a mid-range shot. He doesn't take as many threes as he should. He needs to be in the lab working on that. Ja Morant's a good player, and he has high IQ. Like, I think he knows what he's supposed to do. He just doesn't really have the bag for that yet. But yeah, Ja Morant's not a top 10 point guard for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think really the biggest thing is Ja is leading. The Grizzlies obviously made the playoffs this year. Props to them.
Yeah.
Kind of unlikely. I don't think a lot of people expect
beat the Warriors.
Right. But like, I feel like Ja is kind of leading the Grizzlies on a downhill spiral. And I know that may seem crazy. Like, what? Ja Morant's the point guard of the future. This is my reasoning behind it. I don't think he's a bad player by any means. He's very entertaining. Watching Ja, it's kind of incredible. When I was watching him in the Utah series, the way that he has very good IQ when he's around the basket. Outside of that, it's a little shoddy, at least in the scoring aspect of the game. Great playmaker, of course. When he's going towards the paint, he is a phenomenal drop stepper. He has great teardrop abilities in terms of his shot selection. I saw him, a ton of times. He was playing against the best defender in the league, Rudy Gobert. And usually he takes a lot of his shots at the rim. This time he was taking a guy like Mike Conley, who, is kind of short, kind of small, good defender. But obviously when you're down in the paint, how much can he do against a guy like Ja Morant? He was taking him into the shallow paint and hitting a ton of floaters above him, a ton of runners. He knew that he could not drive in on Rudy Gobert. And obviously for a young guy who's very overzealous and he probably wants to take a lot of shots, that's difficult to really in the moment stop yourself and be like, this guy's a reigning defensive player of the year. I can't take my normal shot, my normal bread and butter. I have to settle for this. And he did a good job at doing that. However, my main criticism of him doing these kind of things, he takes a lot of shots, obviously. I talked about this in our collab with Udoka's takes. Inefficient for a guy who scores in the paint. Let's just be honest, 45% league average, but when you really look at what he specializes in, that's not that good. He should be shooting 50%. Yeah. And of course, another main point I made in our previous video, our previous collab, is that, he's leading the Grizzlies to a scheme where they can't trade those tough twos for those easy threes. They have a tough enough time on defense as it is. And really, they were bottom 5 3-point shooting team this past season, mostly due to the fact that Ja always wants to drive the ball in the paint. Obviously, I actually really like his playmaking ability. His gravity, obviously, when he's driving to the paint, guys want to collapse on him. So he does a good job at making the right read in that regard. But like you said, never seen him take a mid-range shot. He only takes threes when they're wide open, and he doesn't really
Yes.
have a great ability of separating defenders from the ball, which means he
Hmm.
can't get open shots on the perimeter. It's just not in his wheelhouse. And of course, his three-point shot making ability is kind of subpar. John Morant, not a top 10, probably 11. Honestly, I think he's scratching the
Yeah.
surface, but he's just not there for me yet. And honestly, I think he needs to change his game. I don't think that if he's going to continue to be this slashing kind of player, I don't think it's going to work out for him. I mean, any other topics for the top 10 point guards? Any other guys who we feel like could have made the list but didn't?
Top 10 point guards. This guy, if we did top 10, which we don't have the time because Luca has school tomorrow, but
Sadly,
this guy would be both on both of our lists. De'Aaron Fox. Let's go in. First of all, how much we like De'Aaron Fox. Second of all, how much Luke Walton is preventing De'Aaron Fox. And no one really watches Sacramento Kings basketball. How good is De'Aaron Fox?
De'Aaron Fox is pretty good. I feel like he does also. I mean, he's a more like if I'm comparing him to Ja, a little bit more willing shot taker. He still has a lot of things to work on though. For me, I believe. Let me check. I did write down my entire top 10. He was actually number 10 for me, which means he's just slightly above Ja in my eyes. Which I feel like makes sense. He was 9.
He was
for you?
9 for me. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so yeah, the gap between like a guy like him and Ja, not very far, and I think they play kind of similar. The only thing is, like I said, De'Aaron Fox not afraid to take, a deeper shot than, just shallow paint. I like that a lot from him. Good leader, even though the Kings really haven't been in contention. But again, like you said, that's mostly due to the fact that Luke Walton is just a scrub on the bench. I don't know why he's still there. He hasn't led them to anything. They've been horrendous under him. He has caused so much turmoil in the locker room. Buddy Hield wants out. Fox even maybe wants out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of like the 9-10 placing for Fox, though. I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Anything else we want to get into in terms of top 10 point guards? You want to move into something else? Football starts on Thursday.
We can talk football.
Okay. Yeah, I know Travis Etienne injury better than any of us. I mean, I had him. Are there any guys that you do not like that people like this year? Like everyone's like, "Ooh, I'm super high on so and so," and you're like, "I just really don't see how he's going to perform well this year." Do you have any guys like that?
I mean, I guess I'm trying to. That's a tough one. Do you have anybody? Let me come back to me on that one. I need to think.
I have Joe Mixon, and I'm going to explain. I have Joe Mixon on my team, so I'm not feeling too good about that. The line, especially in Cincinnati, is not very good. Joe Burrow's coming off an ACL injury. Maybe they're going to want to run the ball more. I feel like the line's just going to be super crowded for Joe Mixon. He struggles with injuries, and overall, I just really don't see how Joe Mixon finishes as a top 10 running back this year. He's being drafted in the second round, and I'm a victim of that myself. I drafted him there, but I'm not super happy about it.
I agree. I mean, one guy obviously that I guess came to my mind immediately was Cam Akers. I don't know why people are drafting him so high. I mean, I don't think he's going to be playing much this year, if at all. Yeah. But another guy I'm thinking of, and it pains me to say this, I'm a Giants fan, obviously. Kenny Golladay, though, I don't know how high he's going. Probably like third, fourth rounder, maybe.
Yeah,
probably around those areas. I don't know how I feel about that though, because obviously Daniel Jones, he showed some improvement towards last year, but he was also hurt. I mean, he also hurt, I believe it was his quad, or somewhere in his leg. So he's not, I mean, at least from last year, looking rusty. We don't really know how he's going to be, but the judgment, the decision-making from Daniel Jones is very impaired. And it's not really his fault. Obviously, his line is horrendous, bottom 5 O-line in the league. And they just lost their right guard, Zietler, to the Ravens. So it's not looking good in New York in terms of the offense. So Golladay, he just got a pretty sizable contract, not huge, but, pretty decent. I don't know if he's going to be great. Plus, I mean, the New York wide receiver corps isn't bad. Plus, they just picked up Kyle Rudolph. They just drafted Kadarius Toney. He's not going to get, a sizable amount of targets. I think he will be the wide receiver one, obviously. Yeah. But I think if we're talking a guy who might be a little bit overrated, as much as it pains me to say, I think Kenny Golladay may be that overrated guy, personally.
You took the words right out of my mouth. And this is our last topic of the night. We have a collab with Udoka's Takes coming. It's gonna come. I know we keep teasing. I promise. It should
hopefully
be the
next episode. Yeah, hopefully
episode
next
12. Episode 12. We're gonna steal. We're gonna touch on this in episode 12. We're gonna use it. We came up with it. Who is the offensive rookie offensive rookie who's gonna have the biggest impact in the NFL? And after this, we will and episode 11. It's been a good episode. But what offensive rookie are you looking out for this year?
Simple, sweet, to the point. Najee Harris, man, check me out. The Steelers last year, obviously with James Conner, not really the go-to guy, more of a power rusher, didn't really have wheels on him. Not the best running back one, obviously. Najee, though, he can kind of do it all. I mean, I believe I might be tripping on this, but I believe in Alabama, he may have had a couple fumbles here and there, unless I don't know if that's true. Fact check me on that. So that may be his only weakness. However, I've seen him in the preseason. He can run. He's a great receiving back too.
Yes.
And his yards after carry ability, man. I saw this one play. The defense immediately, Big Ben or whoever it was, maybe Mason Rudolph, I don't know who was running quarterback for them, handed it off to Najee. Immediately, the defense collapsed. It didn't look like he was getting anything out of it. Immediately after I guess the lineman made contact with Najee, he got a 6-yard carry. Don't know how. It was absolutely incredible. He knows how to fit through tight gaps. Physical monster, obviously. He's going to be the running back one. And my big thing is Big Ben is getting worn out. Okay. I think he's going to get a lot of carries. The Steelers have a decent wide receiver corps, obviously, but Big Ben, he's old quarterbacks. They tend to wear down. And I think Big Ben's about to fizzle out. So this may be his last year. And I think that Najee will heavily be involved in the run game. He's not running a committee or anything, so he's definitely going to be their sole guy. And even if Big Ben is looking good, I think he can still be involved in some wheel routes and stuff. Good receiving back, obviously, like I just said. He's an all-around guy who I think is going to be phenomenal for them. I think we got to watch out for Najee, man. He might be the James Robinson of this year. Yeah,
he's going to be good. And my guy, went in the same school as Najee, but he plays wide receiver. I'm going with the Slim Reaper. He's a sleeper this year, in my opinion. He doesn't play on the best team. Devontae Smith. I'm super. Did you think I was going to say Jalen Waddle?
Nah. Well, when you said Slim Reaper, I thought of Devontae.
Okay. Devontae Smith. He played with Jalen Hurts at Alabama for a little, and I think, especially with the receivers that Philly has, they don't really have anyone that stands out. I think Devontae Smith, they're going to see what they have in him. I think he's going to really impress. Yes, the size is questionable. He has a small frame. But his ability as a route runner, I watch him in the preseason. He just gets open looks after open looks. If Jalen Hurts can hit him, then he's going to have a big year, and I would draft him in fantasy. So if you're looking for a late-round sleeper, Devontae Smith could finish as a top 20 wide receiver, I'm going to say this year. It's a bold prediction, but I'm here for it.
EDP is smiling at you right now, man. Wherever he may be. I don't know why I brought that up. Either way, we'll leave it at that. I feel like this was maybe a shorter episode. Don't know how long this was. We got it out. We're good. Collab. I'm very hopeful that it will be out soon, hopefully by next week. We're very excited for it. Go check out our collab with Udoka's Takes. Link in the description, as we said earlier. Any more closing thoughts, Whitney?
Thank you for 60. We just hit it tonight.
Let's go.
60 subs. 70's up next. Check the collab with Udoka's Takes. Ours will be out soon. And peace.